If you keep waking up at 3 a.m., this is not random. It's not just your body adjusting, it's not just your sleep cycle breaking, and it's definitely not something meaningless, because there is something very specific about that moment. 3 a.m., not midnight, not 1 a.m., not 5 a.m. That exact point in the night, when everything feels different, you wake up, slowly, your eyes open, but your body is still heavy. The room is silent, too silent, and for a few seconds, you just lie there, not moving, not thinking, just aware. Then it begins. A thought. Small at first, almost harmless. But it doesn't stay that way. It grows. It expands. Another thought joins it, then another. And suddenly, your mind is fully awake, more awake than it was during the day. You start thinking about things you ignored, things you avoided, things that didn't feel important earlier, but now feel impossible to escape. And the strange part is, you didn't choose this. You didn't decide to wake up. You didn't decide to think. It just happened. Carl Jung believed that the human mind is divided, not just between conscious and unconscious, but between what you see and what you refuse to see. During the day, your mind is structured, organized, controlled. You focus on tasks, on responsibilities, on the outside world. You stay distracted, and that distraction protects you, because it keeps deeper thoughts hidden. But at night, everything changes. The external world disappears. There is no noise, no movement, no demands. And when that happens, your internal world becomes louder, stronger, more present, and 3 a.m. is the moment where that shift becomes impossible to ignore. It's not just that you're awake, it's that your mind is finally exposed. There's no barrier anymore, no filter, no distraction strong enough to suppress what's beneath the surface. And that's why it feels intense. That's why it feels uncomfortable. Because you're not just lying in your bed, you're facing yourself. The parts of you didn't want to think about, the questions you avoided, the emotions you pushed away, they don't disappear. They wait. And when everything becomes quiet enough, they return. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And that's exactly what 3 a.m. is. A moment where the unconscious begins to surface. A moment where what you've been ignoring starts demanding attention. Not gently, but persistently. And the reason it wakes you up is because during the day, you don't listen. So your mind finds another way. A moment where you can't escape, where you can't distract yourself, where you can't run, just you and everything inside you. In this video, you're going to understand why this happens, not just biologically, but psychologically. Why your mind chooses that moment. Why your thoughts become louder. Why your emotions feel stronger, and most importantly, what your mind is trying to show you. Because once you understand it, those nights will never feel the same again. Your mind is finally silent, and that's the problem. The first reason you wake up at 3 a.m. is because your mind is finally silent. And that might sound strange, because when you wake up, your mind doesn't feel silent at all. It feels loud, overwhelming, uncontrollable. But that's not the full picture, because during the day, your mind is not actually calm. It's distracted, constantly. Your attention is pulled in every direction. Notifications, people talking, things to do, decisions to make. Your brain is processing, reacting, responding, but it's not reflecting, it's not going deeper, it's staying on the surface. And that surface-level activity creates noise, a kind of mental static, and that static hides everything underneath. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious mind is always active. It doesn't stop. It doesn't disappear just because you're busy. It observes, it records, it stores every thought you ignore, every emotion you suppress. Every experience you don't fully process, it all stays waiting. And when the noise of the day finally disappears, that's when it begins to emerge. That's what happens at 3 a.m. Your environment becomes silent, your body is resting. There is nothing left to focus on externally, and suddenly your attention turns inward. And when it does, you start hearing what was always there. but never loud enough to notice. At first, it feels like random thoughts, disconnected, unimportant. But then they start forming patterns. You begin to revisit conversations, moments, decisions, things you didn't fully process, things you avoided, things you pushed aside. And now, they are back, because now, there is nothing stopping them. This is why 3 a.m. thinking feels different. It feels deeper, more intense, more real, because it's not filtered, it's raw. Carl Jung believed that when the conscious mind quiets down, the unconscious begins to speak, and it doesn't speak in a linear way. It doesn't organize thoughts neatly. It presents them as they are, emotional, fragmented, powerful. And because you're not used to facing them directly, it feels overwhelming, like your mind is out of control. But it's not. It's just finally honest. The thoughts you have at 3 a.m. are not new. They were always there. You just couldn't hear them, because you were too busy listening to everything else. Your unresolved thoughts return stronger. The second reason you wake up at 3 a.m. is because of unfinished thoughts, things you didn't deal with, things you avoided, things you told yourself you would think about later. But later never really comes during the day, because during the day, you're busy, distracted, moving from one thing to another, and every time something uncomfortable appears, you push it away, not intentionally, but automatically. You tell yourself, I'll think about it later. It's not important right now. I don't feel like dealing with this. And just like that, it disappears, or at least it feels like it does, but it doesn't. Carl Jung believed that what is not made conscious does not disappear. It accumulates, it builds pressure, it stays in the unconscious, waiting for the right moment to return. And that moment is often the middle of the night, because at 3 a.m., you don't have the same defenses. You don't have distractions. You don't have control in the same way. Your guard is down. And that's when everything you postponed comes back. Not gently, but all at once. You start remembering conversations, things you said, things you didn't say, things you wish you had done differently. You replay moments in your head, over and over, trying to understand them, trying to change them, trying to resolve something. That was never resolved. And the more you think, the deeper it goes. Because now it's not just about one thought. It becomes connected. One memory leads to another. One idea triggers another, until suddenly, your mind is filled with everything you tried to avoid, and it feels overwhelming, like your mind is attacking you. But it's not. It's trying to complete something, to process something, to bring something into awareness. Carl Jung believed that the psyche seeks balance, and when something is ignored, it doesn't disappear. It returns, stronger, more persistent, more intense, until you face it. That's why these thoughts feel so powerful at night, because they've been building up all day, maybe even for days, weeks, months, and when they finally surface, they don't come as a whisper, they come as a wave. And the reason it feels uncomfortable is because part of you know you've been avoiding them, and now you can't anymore. Your shadow is most active at night. The third reason you wake up at 3 a.m. is something deeper, something Carl Jung believed most people never truly face. Your shadow, the part of you don't want to see, not because it doesn't exist, but because it doesn't match who you think you are. Your shadow is made of everything you rejected about yourself, every trait you didn't accept, every impulse you suppressed, every emotion you pushed away. Anger, jealousy, fear, insecurity, all the parts that didn't fit your identity, so you hid them, ignored them, pretended they weren't there, but they are. And they don't disappear, they stay, in the unconscious, waiting. Carl Jung believed that the shadow doesn't need your awareness to exist. It operates regardless, influencing your thoughts, your reactions, your behavior. And at night, when your conscious mind is weaker, your shadow becomes stronger, because there is less resistance, less control, less structure. And that's when it begins to show itself. Not directly, but through thoughts, through feelings, through sudden discomfort. You might feel anxious without knowing why. You might feel uneasy without understanding the source. You might start thinking things that don't feel like you, and that's the key. Because they are not the version of you you're used to seeing. They come from a deeper place, a hidden part of your mind. And because you're not familiar with it, it feels foreign, disturbing, uncomfortable. But it's still you, just the part you never accepted. This is why 3 a.m. can feel so intense, because you're not just facing thoughts, you're facing parts of yourself, parts you've avoided, parts you've ignored, parts that don't fit the image you want to maintain. And when they surface, it creates tension, because your mind is trying to protect your identity, while your unconscious is trying to reveal the truth. And that conflict is what you feel, that discomfort, that uneasiness, that sense that something is wrong even when nothing is happening. Carl Jung believed that integrating the shadow is essential for true awareness, but most people never do it, because it requires facing things they don't want to see, so instead, they keep pushing it away, and the shadow keeps finding ways to return. At night, in silence, when there is nowhere left to hide. Your body is resting, but your mind is wide awake. The fourth reason you wake up at 3 a.m. is a disconnect, a separation between your body and your mind. Your body is tired, it wants to sleep, it needs rest. But your mind doesn't follow the same rules. Carl Jung believed that the mind is not limited to physical cycles. It doesn't simply turn off when your body does. It shifts, it changes state, and sometimes it becomes more active, especially at night. When your body slows down, your mind has more space, more freedom, more access to deeper layers. During the day, your body and mind are aligned, focused outward, responding to the environment. But at night, that alignment breaks. Your body goes into rest mode, but your mind goes inward. And when it does, it can become more active than ever. That's why you can feel exhausted, but mentally alert. That strange state where your body feels heavy, but your thoughts are racing. Where you want to sleep, but your mind won't stop. Carl Jung believed that this state allows the unconscious to become more accessible, more present, because your conscious control is weaker. And when control weakens, activity increases, not random activity, but internal activity. Thoughts connecting, memories resurfacing, emotions emerging. And because your body is still, it feels even more intense, because there is nothing to distract you. No movement, no action, just awareness. And that awareness magnifies everything. Every thought feels louder, every emotion feels stronger, every idea feels more significant. And that creates a loop. You become aware of your thoughts. That awareness keeps you awake. Being awake makes you more aware. And the cycle continues, not because something is wrong with you, but because your mind is active in a different way, a deeper way, a more internal way. Your mind is trying to reach you. The final reason is the most important and the most misunderstood. Your mind is not just active at 3 a.m. It is trying to communicate, not randomly, not meaninglessly, but intentionally. That feeling you get when you wake up, that tension, that awareness, that strange clarity, it's not just anxiety, it's not just overthinking, it's something deeper. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious mind communicates in indirect ways. It doesn't speak in clear sentences. It doesn't explain itself, it shows, it suggests. It pushes things into your awareness, through thoughts, through emotions, through patterns. And when those signals are ignored during the day, they don't stop, they wait. Until the moment you are most receptive, most open, most exposed. And that moment is often 3 a.m. Because at that time, there is nothing else competing for your attention. No distractions, no noise, no external world pulling you away, just you and your mind. And in that silence, the signal becomes clear. You start thinking about things that matter, things you've been avoiding, things that don't feel comfortable, but feel important. And the reason it feels intense is because it is. It's not random thinking. It's directed. It's your mind, trying to bring something into your awareness, something unresolved, something unprocessed, something you haven't faced yet. And it doesn't always feel good, because truth is not always comfortable. Carl Jung believed that the process of becoming aware requires confronting what you've been avoiding. And most people avoid it during the day, with distractions, with noise, with activity. But at night, that escape disappears, and your mind finally has the space to show you what you need to see. And in that moment, you have a choice. Ignore it, push it away, go back to sleep, and repeat the cycle again and again. Or stop, pay attention. Ask yourself, why am I thinking about this? What is this trying to show me? Because the answer might be exactly what you need. And the more you listen, the clearer it becomes. The thoughts become less chaotic, more focused, more meaningful, because now you're not resisting them, you're understanding them, and that changes everything. Because what once felt like anxiety starts to feel like insight. What once felt like noise starts to feel like clarity. And what once felt like something wrong starts to feel like something important. Carl Jung believed that awareness is the first step to transformation, and moments like this are opportunities, not problems, but only if you see them that way. So the next time you wake up at 3 a.m., don't immediately try to escape it. Don't assume something is wrong. Instead, pay attention, because your mind might be trying to tell you something you've been refusing to hear.